we're going to go into our three main energy systems. Okay, I'll try to keep this as quick and basic as I can. Basically, we have our phosphocreatine system. All right, this is a system that fires up when we start using energy inside of 10-second bursts. So if you think about what that, like, give me something inside of the 10-second burst that we use, like that we do, yeah, that we apply in baseball or in the weight room. Okay, like a sprint, like a 3-second sprint to track something. Okay, yeah, with something else. Or the weight room or in the cage or whatever. Or 90, okay. Or something inside of 10 seconds that we do an activity. Squat. A squat in the weight room. Okay, it's an explosive movement that does not take much time to achieve. Okay, that is what this energy system refers to. The second one is our anaerobic system. This is going to work most of the time hand in hand with our phosphocreatine system. Okay, this you can extend out to about 45 to 50 seconds though. You're still not going to use oxygen, but it is going to be shorter burst type of activities. So you can think of this as like legging out a double, legging out a triple. Okay, you're not necessarily utilizing a ton of oxygen, but you are going to need some carbohydrates that your body's going to take advantage of to burn. Okay. The third system is going to be our aerobic. We use this the least amount of time as baseball explosive athletes. Okay, this is going to be your long distance, your 1 minute to 3 hour activities where your oxygen is used more than your carbohydrates. Okay, you can see the different types of calories that are burned in these different activities. You have a lot of carbs in your first two. You have a lot of fats that are burned along with some carbs in your aerobic systems. Okay, any questions so far? If you got a question, feel free to raise your hand and stop me at any point. We all good? Okay.
What's the difference between carbs and fats, like as an energy source for your body? That's what they are. You know what it is? Say,
Carbs are like immediate,
yeah,
and fats are like stored like for later.
yeah.
Okay, now we're going to go into our macros. Okay, so the first one we're going to dive into is protein. Okay, obviously protein is essential for building and repairing cells. Okay, this is the main thing that it contributes to building branched chain amino acids, which basically builds up our muscle fibers if you really want to dumb it down. Okay, you need protein to build muscle, plain and simple. Okay, best source of protein is going to be through a natural diet. Okay, like we referred to earlier, steaks, meats, okay, whole grains, some vegetables have a lot of protein. Okay, and then we can also supplement. Like we said, our goal is 1 kilogram of protein or 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Okay, it is very hard to achieve that through a natural diet unless you are super strict with it. So you will need to supplement every once in a while with protein shakes. So our types of whey protein, I'm sure every single one of you has probably been into a supplement store or looked through proteins or pre-workouts or whatever. You have two main types, okay, in terms of whey. You have isolate, all right, this is 90% protein, contains no lactate, and has fewer calories with no carbs and fats. It's pretty much just your pure protein. So if you're looking to cut, you're looking to transition your body composition, put on muscle while losing weight, this is probably more of your choice. Okay. Then we go into concentrate. This is going to be only 70% protein. That doesn't mean it has fewer grams of protein. It just means it's composed of a smaller percentage of protein. Okay. It's going to have more carbs. It's going to have some lactate in it. It's going to have more fats. Okay. So if you're just looking to bulk, put on weight, you're going to lean more towards concentrate. Okay. Good. Okay. Next one, carbohydrates. All right, we referred to it earlier. We use this a lot in our creatine phosphate system, in our anaerobic system. Okay, 3 types of carbs. We have monosaccharides, we have disaccharides, polysaccharides. I'm not going to bore you with the type of like bonds that go into naming those. I'm just going to simply kind of tell you, lay out each one here. Monosaccharides, we have glucose. Okay, glucose is going to be like your artificial sugars, things you would find in your candies. All right. probably need to stray away from our glucose as much as possible. Then we have fructose, which is gonna be a little bit more natural from our fruits, like apples, oranges, that type of stuff. Okay, then we have galactose, which it combines with lactose to make milk. Essentially, that's all that is. All right. We have disaccharides, sucrose, more of your like artificial stuff. You kind of want to stay away from sucrose for the most part. But a lot of CrossFit athletes, a lot of power lifters will utilize like a sports drink or whatever to give them instant energy. Like what was your name again? Ethan. Like Ethan said, an instant energy field to go into the weight room if they know they have a high output day coming. We have lactose, which, like we said, combines with lactose to make milk. Then we have our polysaccharides, so our starch, fiber, glycogen, stuff you would find in whole grains, potatoes, that sort of nature. Okay, breads. You can go down the list of things. Okay, recommended daily intake. Generally, about 5 grams of carbohydrates per pound of body weight. Okay, so proteins, you generally want 1 gram per body weight. Carbohydrates, you generally want 5 grams per body weight. That's if you're looking to gain, which most guys in this room are still looking to gain. Okay, if you're looking to cut a little bit, maybe straight towards more of that 2 to 3 grams per body weight. Okay, everybody good there? Okay. Okay, now we'll get into our fats. Okay, we have our saturated fats, and obviously, if it's red, you typically want to stay away from it as much as you can. If it's green, it's typically good for you and can be beneficial into a diet. Okay, we have our saturated fat, which comes from butter, oil, processed cheeses, a little bit, small amounts of it are in red meat, but a little bit goes a long way in terms of our saturated fats. Generally, it's associated with a lot of health risks, not a ton of benefits. Our aerobic system doesn't really use saturated fats. A lot of those turn into that belly fat that we store that if you put it in room temp, it kind of turns into a solid. Okay, that makes sense to everybody. All right, then we go into our trans fats. This is going to be like our fried foods, our baked foods. We want to stay away from this. These turn into our stored fats around our belly that we want to get rid of that makes us slower and unathletic. Okay, then we have our monosaturated, or 2 good fats. We have our monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated. Okay, so our monounsaturated, avocados, peanuts, olive oils. These are things that our body can instantly utilize in terms of our aerobic energy system. Okay, now I'll go back a few slides. When I said we don't use our aerobic energy system, okay, that's in terms of training, right? We don't do a lot of long distance running. We don't do a lot of things that are going to get our heart rate spiked through the roof for long periods of time. Now, our aerobic system is beneficial in the fact that it helps our endurance, our overall endurance. So you guys are all part of long days, right? You go to school, you probably have a health class or a lifting class where you get a lift in during the day. Then you might go to your first sport. A lot of football guys, you go to football practice. You're constantly moving. You're constantly working, burning off calories. Then you come here. You go 3 hours here. You get another lift in, hit. Okay, your aerobic system is being utilized to a certain extent during that day. Okay, so it is important that we have enough fats to support that. Okay, everybody good there? And then we have our polyunsaturated, which is our omega-3s. Okay, I might get into that a little bit more later, but this is going to be primarily found in fish. All right, there are a lot of health benefits from omega-3s that the typical human doesn't really consume enough omega-3s. Okay, everybody good there? Okay. All right, vitamins and minerals. I'll just run through these real quick. Okay, these are the most commonly neglected among athletes. The most commonly neglected vitamins and minerals that you need in your daily diet. Okay, the first one's iron. You all heard of iron deficiency. Very common. A lot of people are iron deficient. You might be iron deficient. You might not even know it. Okay, but what iron does is it helps provide oxygen to muscle tissue. Okay, why would that be important? Why is it important to have oxygen in your muscle tissue? Tyson? I knew I'd get a good answer out of you. Joe, what do you got?
Our muscles work. If they don't have oxygen, they don't work.
Okay,
Yeah,
so helps provide oxygen to muscle tissue and it helps build amino acids, which is basically muscle tissue. Okay, we can find this dark meats, chickens, fish, spinach, beans, peanut butter. You'll notice a lot of these foods, superfoods that I put in there, contain a lot of these vitamins and minerals. Okay, vitamin D, okay, helps generate just general muscle movement. Make sure that our muscles are moving the most efficient they possibly can be. All right, helps out with your CNS function. Which those of you who don't know what CNS is, that's central nervous system. Essentially, if you have a fully functioning central nervous system, it is allowing you to react to things in the fastest possible way. So it allows you to fire and be quick twitch. You have a slow functioning central nervous system. That might be like one of those days where you feel, who has had a day in here where you felt like you were moving like crap and moving really slow? Everybody's had one of those days. Okay, your CNS wasn't functioning to its highest capability on that specific day. Okay. And then it's an immune system booster. So a lot of sickness going around. It's big, you know, when you get sick, you're out a week, it sets you back. So make sure you're building your immune system as well. Okay, calcium, we're all familiar with calcium, helps with bone density. That's primary function number one. Also helps muscle contraction. Okay, so if you are not getting a full muscle contraction when you're training, you are not going to receive the full benefits of training. Okay. And then it regulates proper hormone release. Okay, why is that important? What hormone do you guys have running through you? What hormone is running through a lot of you guys right now? Testosterone. What is testosterone do, Tyson? Yeah, it gets you going, huh? Testosterone, it gives you energy, it builds muscle, it's why you guys are going through crazy growth spurts right now, while you will continue to see your biggest gains in the next 4 to 5 years of your life. Okay. We have B vitamins. Okay, helps convert food into energy. Okay, if your body is not efficient in converting food into energy, it's just going to turn into stored body fat. Right? Your body has to be able to convert the food that you eat into energy so that you get the full function of it. That's where the B vitamins come in. Okay, potassium, more muscle contraction, also helps with some of your primary organs, make sure they're functioning properly. All right, and we have magnesium. More energy production, helps balance electrolytes. That comes into play with hydration, which I'll get into a little bit. And then it helps with stress and anxiety, which is actually a pretty underrated thing. We have a lot of stress and anxiety, from whatever walks of life you're in. Okay. Magnesium helps out with that quite a bit. Okay, we good on those? Okay. If anybody needs another minute to write some stuff down, just stop me.
I would just say too, like on the vitamin D one, which is why people get sick this time of year. There's, vitamin D naturally comes from the sun. So when you're outside in the summer and you're getting that naturally, that's when we can stay healthier. But right now, this time of year, when you get sick, you might have to supplement it. So they do have vitamin D supplements. That's one that if you are a guy that's naturally, you're sick for a couple weeks, run down, make sure you're, focusing on getting vitamin D.
Okay. I'll do a little dive on supplements, some of the most common ones that I get questions about on a regular basis. The first one, I don't necessarily get questions about what vitamins you should take. Okay, maybe one here or there, but everybody in this room should take a multivitamin. There is nobody that can look me in the face and tell me that they're getting the efficient amount of minerals and vitamins in their diet, in their natural diet, without needing some sort of supplementation. Okay, you can find a multivitamin anywhere. Okay, it's cheap, fills the holes in the diet that you're not getting. Okay, and it's easy access. You can find them at Walmart, Supplement Superstore, GNC, wherever. Okay, and I would recommend going to a GNC and or Supplement Superstore with experts who can kind of give you guidance on what types to get, because I'm not necessarily an expert on the brands. One brand's better than the other or anything like that. But I would go to some sort of a supplement store where you can get some more guidance on that. Okay, creatine, this is a big one. Okay, creatine, let's get this straight. It's not a magic fix. A lot of people think that they're going to start taking creatine and automatically start producing a lot more power and be a lot stronger and bigger. And it's not. It is a naturally made substance that is produced by your body. Okay? A lot of people don't produce enough of it though, so that's where the supplementation comes in. Okay? Like you said earlier, that first system, the phospho what system? What was it? Phosphocreatine system, right? Okay? Your body uses creatine, okay? Makes a lot of chemical combinations and basically forms ATP. All right, ATP, what it does is it delays your muscles from fatiguing just a tick longer. Okay, so when you're looking to max out, if you're doing a max out lift, all right, maybe you throw on the bar. What's your bench max, Brody? 185. Say Brody throws on 185 on the bench press. Okay, that's your one rep. Okay, he throws that up. He struggles. He barely gets it up. Maybe with consistent training and a consistent regimen of creatine, okay, he might see that 185 start to move a little bit easier, and then he's going to have a little bit less difficulty getting the second rep. That's basically where the creatine comes in. It helps you achieve that last extra rep. All right, and if you think about it, over time, okay, you're able to perform that last extra rep on a consistent basis. That adds up. All right, that adds up to faster strength gains. It adds up to faster power production. All right, and obviously those two things can lead to better numbers in our specific skill sets. Okay, so creatine is something that I recommend everybody take in this room. Okay, especially at your age, because your body will utilize it the best. What?
Who knows what creatine does besides like the physical aspect?
What was the question?
Creatine does besides like the physical aspect, besides lifting weights. Yeah,
Maybe hold water and muscle.
yeah. That wasn't the interesting. Nothing. It's been showing signs that it helps you focus, so it's all cognitive and mental. It helps with your brain health basically. So if you have trouble not focusing, creatine can also help with you locking in and staying locked in for longer, and also just keep your brain healthy. That's probably a good idea.
Okay. Greens. Okay, greens. They don't taste great. I'm just going to preface that right now. They don't taste great, right? But not a single person in this room, okay, if you told me you did, you'd be lying to me, eats enough vegetables. All right, it is really hard to eat a sufficient amount of vegetables because it is way more than you think you need to eat. Okay, one little stick of broccoli at dinner is not doing it. Okay, so in order to make sure that we get the daily recommended amount of vegetables, which in turn help us break down those chemicals in our stomach and help maximize the things that we're putting in our body, make sure that our body's able to utilize them to the best of its ability. We have to make sure that we're eating our vegetables, and greens help fill those holes. Okay, these are just some of the brands that I've tried and I recommend. Okay, I've tried all of these. They're all good. You all see, I've seen benefits from all of them. So right, you know, pick one. Flip a coin, pick one. Maybe it comes down to price. All right, I haven't seen a drastic difference between one brand or the other. Okay, I do recommend, and one thing, First Form in particular, the reason I stick with that, they have this other thing called L-carnitine. It doesn't do a whole lot for you, but it makes it taste pretty good. Okay, so I just get that. It makes drinking a little bit easier. Okay. Good. Okay. Caffeine. Okay.
They got this one, coach.
Yeah, he has drank plenty of caffeine without understanding exactly what it is. Okay. So basically what caffeine does is it delays this chemical in your body called adenosine, which is what makes you feel sleepy and tired. Okay, it just blocks that hormone secretion for a specific block of time. And that's why typically with caffeine, you feel like crash pretty soon after you get your workout in, or if you drink an energy drink, maybe 2 or 3 hours after you start feeling sleepy and tired, it's because that chemical is coming back into your body. Okay, so that's essentially what caffeine is. Now, Caffeine can be a useful tool for training. Okay, a lot of you guys coming from a lot of activities might feel pretty tired coming in here at night. Caffeine, if taken properly and at the right time before your workout, can benefit you. Okay, there's a lot of studies out there that show it improves focus, it improves power output, okay, it improves overall performance. Okay, now the negatives to that is your body will develop a tolerance over time to that. Okay, so a lot of people think, like me, I've done this in the past. I'm like, well, I've got a tolerance to 200 milligrams. I better find something that's 300 milligrams. Okay, I don't necessarily see the benefit of it because essentially, really, when you get up to that 200 milligram dosage, you're maxed out. You're not going to see a whole lot more from extra. Okay, unless you're a big 350-pound lineman or bodybuilder, you might need a little bit more. Okay, but I don't see anybody that's 350. Okay, maybe Matt. Now, like I said, excess amounts haven't shown. There's been a lot of clinical trials to test that. Excess has not shown any benefits. Now, the best way, if you are feeling like you're getting that tolerance built up and it's not doing a whole lot for you anymore, just stop for a week or two. Right, grind through a week or two without it, and then you will see those benefits again when you go back on the caffeine. Okay. Now, energy drinks, pre-workout, it all works. Okay, but the most safe and healthy way to consume caffeine, and I know you guys aren't going to listen to this, is through natural sources of it. So coffee, that's a natural source of caffeine. Green tea leaves, so you can find a green tea at a gas station. That's a natural source of caffeine. Okay. With pre-workouts in particular, there's a lot of additives added into those that you have to make sure you do your research on, especially when you get to college and you become NCAA regulated. Because a lot of things put in some of our pre-workouts are not legal per NCAA. There's been a lot of NCAA athletes in the past that get suspended for several games because they were taking a pre-workout, they didn't know something was in it. All of a sudden they get random drug tested and they're illegal for PEDs. Okay, so you got to make sure if you're doing your pre-workout, you got to do your research. Most of the ones in Supplement Superstore, you just go say, hey, I'm a high school baseball athlete. I need a pre-workout that you recommend. They'll give you good guidance. They know all the regulations on that. Okay, good. We got Joe.
Let's think about the times that we train in here. Most of you guys are lifting probably no earlier than 6 o'clock. So when we're taking pre-workout, it's probably best to find a non-stimulant pre-workout if you're going to take something before we lift, such at a late hour like 6. Because what that's going to do, a lot of pre-workouts, if you read all the small print, it's going to say do not take within 5 hours of bedtime. So one thing that goes into training and development is going to be sleep. So we're taking caffeine, high stimulant pre-workouts, energy drinks before we come in here and lift at 6 or 7 o'clock at night. Think about how much later you're going to be up at night. It's probably best to find a non-stimulant option, right? And then a non-stimulant pre-workout that's natural you can take, honey, and a little bit of salt. Try that out a little bit. Sugar, you get your natural carbs from the honey, then a little bit of salt, just help with the hydration.
That's actually the best way that I've found whenever, or not just if you have a late night workout, but if you are feeling like you're not getting much out of it, like if you are taking some caffeine before you work out, you feel like your body's kind of acclimated to it and you're not seeing the effects anymore, that's actually the best way to wean yourself off of it for a few weeks before you get back on. Okay, so use that. That's pretty good. I like that.
I also think that this is the first supplement that he's talking about that, has a lot of risk. It's misused. And if it's misused, that's going to be the issue. You can't really misuse multivitamins too much or greens too much. But like, this is one that you got to lean into people to know. It doesn't mean just like show up at every game that you play and have, and have an energy drink. Like that's not what coach is talking about here. So like, you need to understand how to use the supplement of caffeine to actually, make improvements.
Okay. How often do you also, that's all I have on the supplement side of things, because I think those are the 3 most essential things you should probably incorporate into your diet, training schedule, whatever. If you have any other questions, maybe something you saw online that intrigued you, I can answer you. Yeah, I just didn't feel it was essential to put those in here. Okay, how often should I eat? Okay, athletes should be consuming calories 6 to 8 times a day. Okay, that does not mean you're stuffing your face 6 to 8 times a day. It means you're consuming calories 6 to 8 times a day. So the best way to do it is 3 main meals. You got breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Okay, along with 3 to 5 snacks kind of spaced out evenly throughout the day. Okay, why is it important to space out your meals and make sure that you're eating often as opposed to just stuff a couple of times a day? What's different? We got
Just stuff in your face, so you can be like full, but just store some of it and like spreading it out, you can use what you have.
right. Your body can only take so much at a time. Okay, so if you're looking to get the full benefits out of everything that you can consume, you need to do it at more of a slow pace. Okay, as opposed to just rush your body with all this stuff, and then maybe half of it gets converted into carbs, fats. Probably the other half's going to get converted as waste. Okay, be wasted out, or it's going to be stored as fat. All right, and it's not going to be useful to you. Okay, so it's more important that we make sure that we're constantly supplying our body with steady amounts of energy throughout the day, as opposed to just a rush here and a rush there. Okay, are we good there? What?
Calories with snacks.
I'll get to that. At a later slide.
It's a good question.
Okay, so just like some random sample meals, okay, for our main 3. Just some sample ones. You guys can just snap a picture of this. All right, Springfield guys, I'll have coach send you the slideshow so you get this too. Okay, I'll give you a minute to snap a picture, write it down. And this does not mean you only can eat this stuff. Okay, this is just like some general guidance on stuff that I've come up with and what I've seen used from other pro guys. Am I good to move on? Okay. Okay. Sample types of snacks. Okay. So I found that somewhere between like that 200 to 500 calorie range, at least for me when I was your age, that was my sweet spot. Like protein bars, protein shakes, maybe throw a little peanut butter powder in the protein shake for some extra calories. Trail mix. I was a big beef stick guy. I love big beef. I still am. I like beef sticks. I do. Okay. So yeah, get a picture of these. These are good samples, good things that are easily accessible for you to just pack in your pocket. We got it.
I like this little bag. I like the chicken.
Yep.
What's like, because you said like fried chicken, not really good. Like fried chicken. I'm not just.
It's got protein in it. It does, but like really the breading and the skin on the outside of it is what that's your trans fats that you kind of want to stay away from for the most part. Now, every once in a while, that's a really good question. He said, what about like fried chicken? Okay, I did a lot of talk about eating grilled chicken breast. I threw chicken into a sample meal. He said, what about fried chicken? Now, I'm not saying that you have to 100% of the time stick to exactly this. Okay, you're still going to get protein, you're still going to get carbs and some decent fats out of fried chicken. Okay, but it's the breading, the skin on the outside, the way you cook it. You have to fry it in some oils that aren't typically that good for you. Okay, it's not going to be near as beneficial as grilled. Yeah, that's a good question. I like that.
And to go along with that, like Connor and Jake, if you listen to the podcast, like they had totally different perspectives of that question. Like Connor was at a spot in his life that he didn't actually like track how clean his food was. He was just trying to get to numbers. So if it meant getting to his calorie numbers and it meant getting to his protein numbers that he did a fried food, he would do that. Now, Jake, it was the opposite. Jake had to eat cleaner because he had a health issue, right? He was diabetic. So he had to pay attention to the saturated fats and so forth that he ate. So I think most of you in this room, your first priority should be what? Get the numbers. Like that should be your first priority. Get the calorie numbers and get the protein numbers. Don't get overly focused on what's the perfect source? That's kind of phase 2, in my opinion. Phase 2 is when you're there and you're hitting the numbers, then clean them up because then you're just going to get even better production out of them. You agree, coach, or disagree, or what?
Yeah. It's mostly the most important thing for gaining weight. If you eat more calories than your body burns, you will gain weight. Yeah, it's a scientifically backed study. You eat more calories or you consume more calories than you are burning, then you are going to put on weight. It is just a matter of the quality of calories as to what your body's going to do with it.
Okay.
Like, with Hiskey saying 3 meals and then 3 to 5 snacks, it seems like you're eating a lot. You are, but guys who are in multiple sports, once you start doing that, you are hungry at all times. So you always want to eat more. Obviously, there's a limit because we don't want to get obese, but your body will naturally adapt to it. So then you won't feel like you're force feeding yourself 8 times a day.
We got Joe. So talking about calories, and I might jump the gun here on the presentation. But does anybody know how many calories you have to burn to lose a pound? Go ahead.
3,000.
Really close.
3,500.
3,500. So then if it takes if it takes you to burn 3,500 calories to lose 1 pound, how many extra calories does it take to gain that pound?
3,500.
3,500. All right, so if we're looking caloric wise, if we're trying to gain a pound a week, we got to be in a caloric surplus of 500 a day. 500 times 7 is
35.
3,500. All right, and that's where our pound is. So when we're talking about calories, all right, you find your BMR. All right, you're going to take that number. Yeah, Colin, let's go. When you guys figure out the BMR and you guys are tracking your calories, let's say your BMR says 2,200. If you're trying to gain a pound a week, and your BMR is 2,200, how many calories should you be eating a day to be in a 500 caloric surplus throughout the week?
4,000.
I just did too much math for y'all.
2,700.
2,700. You had 500 calories a day. So when you're tracking your calories, throughout a week, if you're 500 calories over caloric surplus throughout the week, 1 whole week being 500 each day, you're going to be 3,500 extra calories throughout the week. There's your pound a week.
Okay, now let's add something to that. So let's say your sitting rate is 2,200. Okay, you're 2,200 calories. Isn't that right? BMR is a sitting rate. Is that correct?
Hazelnut, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So like, what changes that number?
7.
Who said it?
Activity, Walker.
Activity, right? So if you're a high activity guy, okay, does that take? Can you put that into that website?
It'll take into account the activity. So like if you put in like low activity and it's 2,000, you put high activity, you'll probably bump it up to like 2,900.
Okay, you all follow that idea? So like if you put, you want to make sure your activity is also matching there.
That's why I said most of you guys fall into the very active category. So you just select the last option for the most active that it allows you to take, and that'll be your BMR. So now I don't know on that side. I need to do some more digging on that. I don't know if it just factors that into like your metabolic rate, so like it adjusts your base rate, or if that's like just assuming the amount of calories you're burning activity wise. I got to do some more digging on that, but I think it like that sets your base rate, and then the activity you do on top of that throughout the day, you add on to that as the amount of calories you burn in your day. But I'll do some more digging on that.
Because Connor talked about 4,000 calories. That was like what he was targeting when he was trying to gain.
Right.
I mean, if you guys can eat 4,000 calories a day, that's definitely doable. That's a goal you should hit. More than likely, if you do that consistently throughout a week, you're going to gain weight, as the time goes on. But what we hear a lot is, do you eat? Oh, I eat a lot, coach. Take a day where you track your calories. MyFitnessPal is a great app to track your calories. All right, you guys can do it by hand in a notebook, just by looking at the nutrition labels, or get a little weight scale so you can actually measure out your food. That should be a challenge, right? Whenever you get your BMR, you find out all those numbers. Track a day of what you eat. Find out how little you actually do eat, because that's really the eye opener. Because it's easy to say, eat more, eat more, eat more. You guys will go home, you'll eat plenty, probably for a couple of days, and maybe you'll die off. Take a day, track your food, see how much you actually eat. I'd be surprised if anybody comes back here and it's actually, hey, I eat over 4,000 calories. Probably don't. If you tell yourself, hey, I'm gonna eat a lot today, I'm gonna track it, then maybe. But now do it again, and then do it again. Do it the next day. Keep on doing it.
Okay. Last thing I'll dive into, hydration. Everybody knows that being hydrated is important, but very few people hydrate enough. So you need to make it your daily goal from now until probably the rest of your life, or at least the rest of your athletic life, to drink 1 gallon of water every day. Okay, 1 gallon of water every day. Okay, figure out whether you got to get a water bottle that measures it out for you, or you just go get a gallon jug at Walmart. Okay, you fill it up every morning before you take it to school, and you try to finish it by the end of the night before you go to bed. That should be your goal. Okay. If you don't consume enough water, okay, and most of you guys think you drink enough, you probably don't. Okay, you will get dehydrated as active as you guys are. Okay, you're dehydrated, but you might not even know that you're dehydrated, right? But if you are, okay, more muscle contraction, low power output. What's power? Load is power. You don't know what power is? The power, balls. What's power, rack? Yeah, that's part of it. That's one thing. We combine strength with what? Velocity. Strength with speed. It is how fast can we move a heavy object, essentially. If you break it, so like if you squat, Landon, what's your squat? Or just throw a number on there.
Not high enough if you don't know.
So if you squat 190, but it goes up real slow, okay, like you're struggling all the way up, was that a powerful lift? It was a heavy lift, okay, but it wasn't powerful. Okay, now if you're able to move that 190 fast, like you had a radar gun on it, you moved it however many miles an hour, you exploded up. That's a powerful lift. Okay? So power output is extremely important in our game that we play because that's all we do is power movements. We swing, that's a power movement. We throw, that's a power movement. We're moving an object as fast as we possibly can in a really short amount of time. Okay, that's the definition of power. Okay, significant injury risk. If your muscles are not hydrated properly, you're at a significantly more have a better chance of getting injured. Okay, leads to poor endurance, poor recovery. Okay, especially you guys that are playing multiple sports. It is essential that you guys have good endurance. You're able to sustain that workload, and you're able to see the benefits of it and do it again the next day and the next day and the next day. If you're not hydrated, you're not going to be able to do it again the next day and the next day and the next day. Your body will start to deteriorate over time. Okay? Then decreased flexibility and mobility, which in the sport that we play, okay, what's the difference? This could be a 75 mile an hour arm. This, the ability to get back here, could be a 90 mile an hour arm. Okay? Mobility and flexibility in this game combined with power is the key to maximizing your metrics. The key to hitting a ball hard, the key to throwing a ball hard is being mobile and also moving fast. Okay? So hydration is essential. This is probably maybe the most important thing you can take away from here is staying hydrated. Okay? And then just some good sources. If you want some additional information, if you have like more questions, you can always come to me, come to Jeff, come to Joe, come to Brett. We have generic information for you, general info, like general baseline knowledge and nutritional guidelines. This is just for more info. Okay, this is a really good website for just general information. If you just have a nutritional question, you want to go find out what it is. It's a good link for it. This has creative recipes. That's one thing I didn't hit on. You guys need to learn how to cook for yourselves. Okay, I challenge you guys to learn how to cook something that you're good at, something that's good for you. Learn how to cook it and do it every day. Okay?
Who cooks?
Yeah, who can cook?
I didn't see ramen on that list.
There you go. Okay, so you need to learn how to cook. This will map out the recipe, the ingredients that you need, how much of it you need, how long do you fry it or put it in the skillet, how long do you put it in the oven, that type of stuff. Okay, this will literally map it out for you, you just have to do the work. Okay? And then supplement information and whether you're wondering if something's legal or not, most of the things that you're inquiring about can be found on the anti-doping agency. Okay, so there's your website right there for that. Okay, so like I said, if you have questions, you can find any four of us, and we have answers for you. If you want additional information, utilize these or more. There's plenty more out there. Now, one thing I'm going to challenge all of you guys to do is download MyFitnessPal. Does everybody have it? Download it right now. Go on the App Store, download MyFitnessPal.
Okay, so question here. What are when coach put up some of this stuff, what are the hurdles? What are the hurdles? What makes this hard? Okay, so what I hear, school. Okay, so what did Jake and Connor say about how to deal with that? You got to think ahead, right? The night before. Okay, you got to pack. I looked at JT and I asked JT, he was like, man, when coach said you got to eat 6 to 8 meals, JT's like, I haven't eaten hardly any yet today. Well, like he hasn't really been in front of food or around food, so he's got to pack something. Okay, you got to get rid of this idea that it's uncool to like pack your food, carry in a bottle of water, whatever it may be. Okay, what else are hurdles? Okay, the mindset, like you have to be committed to it. You either want it or you don't. Right? So it is a mindset. It's a switch. Why is it a switch? Because there ain't nothing on there that's convenient. And a lot of those things, mostly like when you guys read that list from coach, what did you like when you went through it? How many of you love hard-boiled eggs? All right, so 3 of us in this room are going to eat that. Right? Yeah. How many of you love avocados? Oh, yeah, here we go. How many of you love almonds? Oh, we got a few more. So, like, what is hard about this? Okay. How many of you love Taco Bell? Oh, yeah. That wasn't on the list. Right? But here's my point. You guys, you're going to have hurdles. Here's how you know you've made it. When you look at your food, what about supplements? Greens are freaking nasty, man. They're nasty. Like I try to choke them down all the time. I hate them. Okay. All right. They don't work. I could totally see how they help, but they are hard to do. You have to get to a spot that your food and your supplements aren't things that you're just doing because they taste good. You're actually doing them because they're helping you meet a goal. You guys get that idea? That's when the mindset will have flipped because you'll be looking at the protein shake. And some of you, like immediately when we talk about protein, what does everybody say? Man, that one tastes gross. I don't like that one. That one's chalky. That one's it, whatever. But when you look at it, coach didn't put which ones taste good. He put which ones have isolate or concentrate based on how they're going to help you meet your goal. So the hurdles are real. They're very, very real. Right? I fight with teachers all the time about my baseball guys because teachers will complain that they're eating or drinking in class. Number one, I'm not talking about chips and candy, but if my guys are in there with water and my guys are in there with their lunchbox and they're pulling out snacks and eating, I'm going to go to battle with that teacher to make sure they can because that's the only way they're going to get their 6 to 8 meals in. Y'all get that? So they're hurdles. The hurdles are real. But frankly, if you're not trying to tackle a couple of those hurdles, you're not gonna pull from this presentation what coach is trying to get to you. 90% of what's on that list of what to eat, you guys won't eat. My kids won't eat it. They hate it. Right? And we have to work on that all the time of, is it worth it? Can you choke it down? Can you figure it out to help you meet your goals? Can you do it to help you meet your goals?
Yeah, so everybody have a chance to download that app, MyFitnessPal. Okay, so the great thing about it is if you plug in your height, your weight, you can plug in like your goal, your end goal for your final weight that you want to achieve. And it'll basically give you a calorie goal every day that you need to hit to get there. And then the free version, it'll break down your percentages of your protein, how many grams you're consuming. There's a way to see like how close to your protein goal are you, and you can kind of alter your goals for those. Like I know it comes with like 80% of your body weight for grams of protein is what it's just programmed to do, but you can change that to your body weight for your goal. So what I encourage you guys to do is go this week, eat normal, eat like you always have, eat completely normal this week, and see where you're at. But I like the hard thing is you got to get on your phone, you got to log on there every single time you eat something. It's pretty easy. You just search it, whatever. Like you go to Vaughn, big Taco Bell guy. Okay, you go to Taco Bell, it has their whole menu on there. Okay, so you just type in what you got, and plug it in. Okay, any granola bar, protein bar, they're all in there. Okay, and then like if you do cook steak, it has kind of a generic like calories and macro orientation for like a general steak, right? 8-ounce steak. Okay, so it's really easy to use. You just have to be disciplined enough to go on there and use it. Okay. So all this information, the ball's in your court now, right? It basically is going to come down to how disciplined are you, okay? If you look at where you want to get to in this game, or maybe another sport, if you want to get, or something else athletic in life, you want to get somewhere, okay? You basically have a question. Every single time you sit down to eat a meal, you're answering a question, okay? Because my end goal is that more important to me than losing my discipline and giving myself what I want right now? Every single time you eat something, every time you're about ready to go do a lift in there, okay? Everything you do to train, right? And don't get me wrong, nutrition and every time you eat, that is training. Okay? You're training yourself every time you eat. Everything you do, you have a question to answer. Is the end goal more important than the lack of discipline for my personal pleasure right now? Okay? And if you decide to forego the end goal and eat that McDonald's or whatever's the temptation in front of you, which now you know that temptation is not good for you. Okay? If you decide to go for that temptation, okay, you're answering, yeah, it's just that end goal is not that important to me. Okay? But if you decide to go ahead, do away with the temptation, do the right thing, make the right choice, cook for yourself, okay, you're showing a lot of discipline in that. Okay? And if you want to be successful at anything in life, you have to use discipline. If you want to get anywhere, you got to be disciplined. Okay? That's all I got.
Okay, last thing I want to say to this. If we fast forward a couple months, how will we know things look different? Nutrition across our program, how will we know things look different? What would look different about what you guys bring with you to training? What would look different? Yeah, we would have a lot more water with us. Okay, about half you in here would be sitting with a milk jug full of, 3/4 of the way gone of water. Okay, we would have more hydration. What else would look different?
Snacks.
Yes, right? You guys would be bringing food. You probably would be sitting here eating. Because those of you that came from another activity, whether it was another practice, school, work, whatever, you're undernourished right now. So you probably need to be sitting there eating some because you're getting ready to go do 120 minutes of output. Right? How else would it look different? After 120 minutes of output, what should I be doing on the way home? Right? I should be eating or drinking. Okay, we would see a whole lot more shaker bottles. We'd see a whole lot more protein shakes made at the end of our last workout. We would be driving home, especially those of you that live farther away. It wouldn't be the quick stop into somewhere fast food. You would be getting that protein in you before you did that. Right? There's these little signs that you see college guys do, or guys like Coach is talking about, disciplined guys do. There's these little signs that show that they're making this a part of their training, that they're making this look a part of their training, not just the skills. In all honesty, we're sacrificing tonight. We were going to be in the weight room tonight. We're sacrificing tonight given this because we believe that this actually has a higher return on investment. If you guys invest in this, it makes your future workouts better.
Like you were talking about Connor and Jake's turning points. For me personally, it was my senior year in high school. On my high school team, we had 8 Division I players on my high school varsity team, my senior year. I was the loser that didn't have the shaker bottle. Right? Every single guy we would go work out together. We all played for the same travel organization. So we'd go train together after school. We'd go hit. And work out together, and then afterwards, all those guys were crushing protein shakes, and then talking about going to Chipotle and ordering like a double steak burrito bowl. I didn't have protein. I didn't even know what that was. But like being around those guys, all of a sudden I was not part of the norm. Like I was the outcast. I was the loser because I wasn't part of the rest of the group that was practicing good habits. So that's a challenge. If you want to be a really good team, you want to be a really good player. Okay. Right now, not enough guys do that type of stuff. So you need to be the outcast. You need to be that outcast who does things right and shows discipline. And then hopefully end goal is if you're not on board, you're not doing those disciplined things. Now all of a sudden you're the outcast. That's how you build a bunch of D1 dudes. You guys got to help each other and hold each other accountable to a certain extent. Clear? Good.